Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be sitting down with one of my biggest inspirations, Elizabeth Cutler, who founded SoulCycle in 2006. And she's going to be also talking to us about a new project called Peoplehood. I can't wait to just jump right in and talk about all these amazing things that are happening. SoulCycle, I mean, obviously it's a huge phenomenon and a huge phenomenal wellness. What would you call it exactly? Like, it's almost like not a cult, but like what's a good word for cult? Like
a good cult.
A good cult. It's a good cult. It's such a following, actually, I just want to say. And what was that like? And did you expect that when you first launched SoulCycle? Tell me a little bit about the process.
Well, it's so interesting because I remember once the company kind of started to really get momentum, everybody's like, oh my God, you did this overnight. And we always joke about the 10-year overnight success, right, or the 15-year overnight success, and how things that are good take time. Mm-hmm. And we started in 2006 when Julie and I randomly met, and we were not friends. We were set up on the best blind date ever. And we just started, probably similar to what you and Audrey had, we just started finishing each other's sentences and really understanding such a mind share around what an experience could be like and what we really needed personally in our lives, because I was really missing the hike that I went on with my friends every day after work, and just the camaraderie and the cardio that came from that. And here I was in this city and I didn't really know anybody, and I just had this need for community. And so we wanted to create an experience where people felt like they were held for an hour and that they could feel like they had some kind of service. Because at that time, I mean,
there was nothing, right?
There wasn't anything. And also, I kind of felt like every time I went somewhere, they were like, the meaner people were, the more they called that service. And I'm like, that's twisted. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's changed so much in terms of just focusing on hospitality for brands. But we found that if we could just do something that would take care of our needs, that maybe it would take care of other people's needs. And so it really did kind of catch on rather quickly. But every day was a slog.
Yeah.
I mean, people think things are so easy, and they're just not.
Right. What was your first studio like, and where was your first studio?
Our first studio I found on Craigslist.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's
so New York, actually.
So New York. The other thing that's so New York is just the many lifetimes that these buildings have.
Yeah.
It had been a mortuary, turned into a dance studio.
Wow.
And fortunately, we had it as a dance studio, and found it on Craigslist, and it was a 5-year sublet from the American Academy of Dance. And we just thought, why not? Let's just try it.
Where was that located? Is that around
on 72nd Street,
Oh,
between Columbus and Amsterdam, because I felt like if we were close to the express trains, maybe some people would come from downtown.
They'll just come.
Which they did, ultimately. But the Upper West Side's such a great location, and good neighborhood and community. And Julie lived up there. She was across the street. So, I mean, God bless her heart. She was putting the garbage out at 5 a.m.
Oh, my God. Well, that's dedication. And, like, being a business owner, like, I completely understand and share that sentiment, because, you know, like, yeah, like, you have to put in the time. Like, you have to give to get. And I think in the end of the day, like, you get what you give.
I think that's true. And also, if you create an environment where people feel like they're a part of something, but also held in something, like, people want to engage in that. That's like, there's a big return on your investment, both emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, if you do that. And we just always believed on trying to do our best and give our best and create the best experience that we could for people.
Yeah, I think at that time, actually, SoulCycle was very, different from other types of fitness, group fitness especially, because I feel like you were giving this, like, the level of hospitality was like a step up, and it felt like you were kind of entering like a more, I don't want to say exclusive, because that, it was almost more like just like elevated, like an elevated space where you felt important as the customer, as the client.
Oh yeah, and I think that's so important. I also feel like, these experiences are, somebody has to take time out of their day. It's an investment on the part of the person who's using it. And so make it worth it for them.
Right.
And we just felt like if we made it worth it enough for ourselves, and listen, the first classes were not good.
Who taught them?
Oh my God. Well, fortunately, there were a few people who showed up that we really resonated with and really got it. We all got each other. And I think that once you have that mind share, you can really do a lot.
Yeah.
But start is always inelegant, because you're trying to figure out, like, how do these pieces get put together in a way that is reflective of how we want to feel. And so I think it just took us a minute, but we got there. Thank God.
There. You really got there. So what do you think was the most rewarding part of SoulCycle?
Well, I think, Julie and I probably have maybe different answers about this, but also maybe same. I mean, for me, honestly, I was just so proud of the people the people. The people were so rewarding. I loved the people that we worked with. I loved the people who walked through our doors. I felt so grateful to go to work every day. I would just wake up in the morning being like, I am going to work.
That's amazing.
And to be able to have that kind of enthusiasm and desire is so, it's just such a blessing. And hopefully some other people felt like that too.
Well, I think so. I think there's something to be said to the success that it became, I think comes from the top. Like it comes from you, and it comes from the energy you put into it and the positive vibes that you put into it. And also just like, that waking up and wanting to go to work, and already just that, like not everybody loves exactly what they do, and it's amazing. Like I know for me, like I can do this 7 days a week, and I'm in it all the time because I think I just truly love what I'm doing. So even when it's hard and I want to cry and I'm tired, I think there's been days like where I'm like, oh my God, am I still at the office? But I'm like, I love it, and I think that's why women, or in general, like business can be successful because you have to have that desire and drive for sure.
Well, it's evident that that's what's happening in Generation Love because I saw your camera roll. I see what's going on.
Thank you.
We were looking at pictures.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun before we got to sit down together. And I just think that, that kind of willingness to lean all the way in. What does your tattoo say? Success is gold.
No, wait, what did you just say? Which one?
Because
I like that. That might be my next one. Fortune favors the bold. I have a tattoo.
Okay. I like fortune. I think it's beautiful and super elegant.
Thank you. Yeah, I might be getting some other ones. So
yeah. And I think it's powerful to have those reference books, to have those things that remind us of who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it and how to lean in, especially, when you wake up in the morning and you're just like, okay. Sometimes you're really ready for the day, and sometimes you need a minute. And what a great thing to have that kind of reference. It's cool that you found that. Go pick up that book.
Go look it up. What books do you love? Is there anything that you find inspiring?
It just depends. Like I'm into Mary Oliver's poetry right now. Ooh. There's a book called Devotions I really am enjoying. It just it's exactly what you described. Like you just open it up, you read it, and it kind of like it takes you somewhere. And then you're like, that feels like a place I want to be right now. That's good. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
But I also have been really thinking about doing the artist way again, which is journaling in the morning and just allowing your creativity to come through like a daily practice for 30 days. So
I love that.
I'm thinking about doing that.
That's
like that seems like a good project at the moment.
What kind of journal do you think you get? That to me is the most important part, is like the journal.
Oh my gosh.
Like what kind of cover? What size?
I have no idea.
I'm like more about the journal than like the journaling part. I'm like, ooh, that's cute. I'm like, will it match my outfit?
I think you can find one for sure.
Need a leather one with like crystals all over or something to dazzle it. I'll have them making it downstairs like a book cover or something.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, we can monogram that. Generation Love books. Okay.
That sounds good.
Well, I really want to hear about Peoplehood. So for those who are not familiar with Peoplehood, can you tell us a little bit about it?
So one of the things that came up for me and Julie as we sort of started to reflect on our 10 years of concepting, creating, building SoulCycle to 60 locations across the United States, and we were teed up to do some international stuff as well, was just like, what was happening in there? Like, what was the magic? What was the essence of that magic? And when we really got super meta about it, we realized it was mostly about the connection to ourselves and to other people. Whether that was happening verbally or non-verbally, those rooms had a really potent, honestly, medicine, to really be able to meet you wherever you were on a particular day, regardless of sort of your state of mind when you walked in. You always left feeling better, higher than
totally
when you started. Yeah. And that's just something that we found so valuable. We just feel like there's so few places that kind of create that. And that allow people to kind of, get their own revelations. Because what we have really come to understand personally and professionally after sort of like running around the world and asking people questions, how do you do this? How do you do that? Of course, there's things that you need to learn, tools, but really all answers come from within. And we wanted to see what it would be like if we created an experience where people could come in for an hour and then leave feeling better than when they started. And if we look at sort of all the big dynamics that are happening inside the United States and frankly in many places around the world, there's just such a crisis of connection and a crisis of being able to have a time to even hear yourself think. And so we architected this really cool 1 hour experience that you can do with yourself. You can bring a friend or a partner, or people have been finding it super relevant with work teams.
Interesting.
And it is a really cool way to get to know somebody you think you know, have intentional time with somebody you feel like you already know really well. And then the last part of it is like sometimes it's just nice to be in the company of people you don't even know.
Right.
And I've had some of my most profound experiences at Peoplehood with like a group of strangers. And I just feel such a sense of connection to them. And if you look at all the research that has been coming out, there's been a tremendous amount of very potent research about what is needed for, this next step of humanity. And pretty much this is sitting right at the center of the Venn diagram. So we figured, let's try it.
Well, it actually feels like you're on like the cusp of something huge, because it exactly to what you just said. I feel like society has changed so much, and we're all about technology, and people are on their phones, and there's such a disconnect. So I feel like this is so like the antithesis of that, where I feel like it's like, not like the angel and the devil, but it's like almost like this kind of like beacon of light where how do we live in a society where we're all about our phones and computers and that's just life, but how do we balance that, and how do we make ourselves more enriched and have these relationships, because it is sad. And like I think our age, I feel like we maybe grew up less relying on technology, so we have that in us, but some younger generations might have difficulty, and especially as more and more, like, because it's just not part of daily life. So I feel like this is almost like you need to do like a student pass or something, or like with schools. I mean, actually, like, I don't know, like maybe that's something we're something that starts with schools and like not children, but I feel like it's like kind of like almost like you want to start young in a way, like the earlier the better. So there's like that sense of communication.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. A lot of it has to do with like emotional intelligence, right? And so how do we think about relational intelligence and that kind of connectivity that happens? We've done stuff with schools, which is great. And I also think that there is a lot of good stuff. Teachers are so impressive, and I think they have a real interest and value on doing something that would allow for kids to be able to express themselves in a way that maybe they didn't have the language for. So actually, I'm pretty optimistic in some ways. I think we're getting there, to try to, at least with the young folks, be able to develop that skill of being able to listen and understand. And I think that that's just something that maybe we had access to in the past and we've stripped that out of our culture. I'm not sure, but I think that the reality is that it pays dividends to be able to have those opportunities to practice that and to be in that kind of energy. And there's no reason not to do it. I mean, if you look at all the studies that are coming out of the 85-year study at Harvard around what makes somebody happy and feel fulfilled in their lives, it's the relationships that they have.
I read that information, and I was actually on your site, and I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, those points are fascinating, really, because you think that happiness comes from a lot of other things, but it's just like the pure communication it's like a high too. Like when you are with certain people, you get a high from it, from the energy, and you just want more and more of that person or your friends, or even when you're in a classroom or you're in a gather. How do you hope people will feel after a gather?
What a gather is an hour-long facilitated conversation. And so in that hour, we do some breath work. We kind of like get into our bodies. We start to learn some ways to regulate our nervous system. And so by the time you're getting into conversation with other people, you're feeling relaxed. I mean, certainly it's a little awkward in the beginning where you're just like, what is happening here? But then like anything, you know, that is a challenge. Like once you break through that, it's almost training ourselves to be comfortable in something that's a little uncomfortable. And I think sometimes like we'll just avoid that and then we miss so much of life. So it's these little mini moments that happen inside the gather that in totality make you feel so much better when you leave than when you start. And we've had just really like beautiful feedback about people's experiences in there, and friendships that have been made and connections that have been made that wouldn't have been made otherwise. And it's really interesting to be working on a project like this.
I love that. And I love that note about getting out of your comfort zone and being in these uncomfortable situations, because I think, you know, and also in a lot of the books that I read and just in life, I think as we go through life, the best things come out of times when you're slightly uncomfortable and you're getting out of your comfort zone. And even in, like, let's say SoulCycle, like you're sweating, you're working hard, you're uncomfortable, like you want to stop, like you want to quit. And those instructors are saying like, come on, you can do it, and like motivating, which is actually also what I really loved about SoulCycle, is like the motivation and that like spirit, which sounds very similar that it's echoed here. That, you know, okay, you're sitting in a room and you're talking with strangers, or you're talking with your coworkers, which could be uncomfortable, or even your partner. You know, there could be times when you're talking about certain things that could feel uncomfortable, but then you get to like over that hill and it's like another level of a relationship. So I completely see what you're saying. How did the conversation start? Like, I'm very fascinated.
We started, it actually started at SoulCycle because I had such a freak out one night at like 11:55 on a Sunday night. I had a panic attack and I was like, oh my God, I had 2 kids under the age of 4. I had a husband who was working all the time. I had this company I was so overwhelmed by, and I just needed to get some breath back into my life so I could do a better job showing up for the people that I needed to show up for. And I Googled Life Coach NYC.
I love that. I love Google.
I do too. And I ended up finding a coach that I've now been working, both Julie and I have been working with for over 15 years. And she really helped us with our relationship so that we could be uncomfortable with each other, but say the truth of what was true for us at that time without having somebody have to come and fix it, just allowing it to be said so that there could be understanding. And then once there was understanding, what we would often do would be just kind of like go away and not even decide on a plan, not even discuss what we had talked about, and then come back. And we found that we could understand each other's point of view and almost like, if we were deadlocked in something, almost like switch perspectives.
I love that.
And it allowed us to get to the right perspective for the business and for ourselves individually. And we just found that that worked so well that we ended up training it into the front desk at SoulCycle. So if you go to the front desk at SoulCycle and something's not quite right, because that happens, like how do you find the yes in a situation? By listening. And so people are really well trained in that, which is such a beautiful thing. And then we did that throughout the company, really. And after about 5 years of people using that, we started to get these emails from people saying, I'm getting married next weekend, and I'm really thinking about all I learned from these tools. And they're not professional tools, not only professional tools, they're tools for life. And I thought, you know what an amazing thing to be able to have that kind of feedback. You hope that people will have that experience, but certainly no one's arrogant enough to think, oh yeah, that's going to work that way. And so that really those were really the seeds for us to move forward with trying out the Peoplehood concept.
That's amazing. And how, when you start a gather, when you're running a gather, I should say, how does the topic come up? Is it just like kind of an open forum, or like how does...
It depends. Like if we're doing it for work teams, the work teams will tell us in advance. We give them sort of a menu for example, of like, what's most relevant, do you think, to the team who's going to be participating in this? If it's for people who are just coming in, you know, off the street, basically, or doing it online, we have a theme. We always have a theme for the week. And the thing is, it doesn't even matter what the theme is. Like whatever is running, it's just like it's like our operating systems, there's always like some kind of voice that's like the dominant voice.
Right.
And so
it's going to come out.
Right, exactly. So no matter what the topic is, the dominant voice just has a place.
Yeah.
And then it's great because then you're like, oh, well, I can really it's a solve for whatever's, hijacking our psyches. Which everybody got something.
So everyone, even if you just want to sit there too, like silence or laugh. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody participates, so it's not an option.
It's not an option.
Yeah, you got to participate because that's just
true.
How we set it up.
Yeah.
And it's more interesting. It's more interesting when everybody's voices are in the room.
Yeah.
It's just
kind of reminds me of like improv.
Yeah.
Like improv, like comedy or something.
Yeah. I would say it's like part improv, part AA, but like you don't have to be
a little therapeutic.
A little bit, yeah. But really, there's no crosstalk, so nobody's solving anything for you except for you.
Right.
Where else does that happen?
There's no pressure of after you leave, you must come to a resolution of some sort.
No.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really sweet, I have to say. And Julie and I both worked really hard on it, but I would say she particularly really has done an extraordinary job making the experience feel good for people.
Well, it's a beautiful space, so I can imagine just walking in here already your mind goes somewhere calming and I think like inviting. So when I'm ready to talk right now. We can do a gather right after. We can just do it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we love so much is that, such a chaotic city. Life is so busy and so distracting. So when you cross a threshold of a place, whether it's online or in person, we really want people to feel like they're entering something different. Maybe they're entering a space that for them is special, or a space that for them in some ways is like this kind of like sacred space, just a space that's different, so that they can access, and we can all access something a little bit different that's in our minds. Yeah,
love that.
Yeah. And we loved that about SoulCycle too.
Yeah.
That was certainly intentional. You go from the light to the dark, and then back to the light.
The dark.
It's super intentional.
Like you just like entered as like entering like a sphere of like, it's just like a you know you're gonna like be one with yourself, and with and especially music, like when that playlist was really matching your vibe and discovering songs too. For me it was huge. I'm like, oh my god, I love this song. Or it was just like I can remember classes specifically that I took because of the music. So yeah, for sure.
Music is very powerful, and we certainly used it here too. But it's really amazing.
Love that. Amazing. What is the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome in your career?
Oh my God, doesn't it happen like every 3 weeks? You're like,
this? Like today?
Exactly. I mean,
love that.
It's so bananas how things happen. I mean, biggest obstacle. A year and a half into the business, they stopped making our bikes.
Oh my God.
We have no bikes.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, how are we going to scale this business without bicycles? We couldn't just go buy random bikes. So again, went to Craigslist and purchased every single bike that existed in the United States that was that model, and took them to a storage facility in Queens. And then we would rehab bikes, and we would grade them A, B, C, and D. And D was just for parts, and A could go into the studios, and the other two were kind of like different, ways to go to buy us time to be able to build our own bike, and to get that into production, because that was going to take 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Yes.
Stop.
No, yeah. No big deal.
No big deal. Just 2.5 year lead time.
Oh, that's fine. So that's one of the things that we did that was crazy. I mean,
I did not expect that, actually. So
many things. I swear. I
have to say that's very like crafty. The fact that you and like that you thought of just getting all the bikes possible, and not everybody would think that way.
Well, what's so great, because once you're kind of like doing this with a group of people, there's so much awesome mind share that happens. And one of the things that I remember, and also just really love, like, ideas come from everywhere. And so I would love it when somebody at the front desk who had been working for us for 2 months was like, have you thought about X? And X was brilliant.
Right.
And it's just so much fun to kind of see, like, once people experience something, like, what are they going to get out of it? And so finding the bikes, I mean, obviously looking on Craigslist was an old party trick that we had, but there were many times that we learned so much from the people around us. I mean, it doesn't matter if you were, 19 or whatever.
100%.
It just is so cool to have that kind of like cross-pollination and almost like a galaxy of, I'm like, I sit at the top.
Right. I love that, actually.
That is so
I turn to everyone at our team, and I love what they contribute. It's actually something that I speak to a lot, because if like you're on our team, like I want you to contribute. I actually really want to hear what you say, like for real. Like don't be shy. And I because you just never know, and you might just, not that you might get a great idea, but like I think there's things to say, and everyone has a voice, and no matter exactly, like if they've been with us for 2 months or 2 years or whatnot, it's all the same. And it's actually sometimes exciting to, like, someone who's new, they're coming with a fresh perspective. They might not know the company the same way, and what is their first what's the word? Impression. Thank you. What's their first impression? Yeah, so I totally value that and agree 100%.
Yeah, I think that's why we decided to get together today, because we knew we would get along and have a lot to talk about.
Clearly. Okay, so now's our fashion section.
Oh my gosh, I'm nervous.
No. I love fashion, clearly, and it's played a huge role in my life personally. So I just want to know, how has fashion played a role in your life professionally and personally?
Okay, so professionally, I have to say, one of my most favorite memories is how in the beginning we started curating. It was Julie's idea that we would curate a shop inside of SoulCycle, so people could get their tights. And at that time when we started, the like capri tights were really au courant. And so people were walking in with these gorgeous like high heel boots to the knee with their tights. And
ready to go.
These amazing jackets, and it was just like part of their look to get dressed in the morning to come ride, and then they would leave looking just as chic as when they walked in the front door. And I'm like, this is pretty fabulous, because I was kind of used to rolling up in the, like working out meant the dirtiest t-shirt, not actually dirty, but just a t-shirt that was unloved. Let's put it that way. And so it's just fun to see people get inspired to get like dressed to go work out.
I would get dressed for SoulCycle. I mean, not like dressed like fancy, but like I wanted to wear a really cute outfit. Like I'm going to SoulCycle. I'm gonna wear, it's gonna match. And this is like, I was like really excited. Like I would save my best for like, I'm then going, I gotta look good. And it was definitely part of my whole routine. When I would go to SoulCycle, it'd be, what am I wearing for sure.
I mean, I think that there's something mojo building about that. When people talk about the value of fashion, it's like, what are you doing for yourself by putting on those clothes? And it doesn't matter if you're working out or getting ready to go to a meeting or going out at night. Like it's all connected. Let's enjoy it.
Right. Like you're doing it's like you're still doing something, and you're putting something on, you're expressing you're saying something with what you wear. So I like to express myself with like a neon green, bra, like sports bra, and like leopard leggings. Like that's what I would wear.
Well, I would like to see you expressing yourself that way. I will not be wearing that, but I will be celebrating you wear that. I stick to black and navy.
To each his own.
Exactly. I love that neon and leopard.
Yes.
I've been thinking about getting into the leopard again.
I love leopard. No, it's a good neutral.
It's like a camo.
Yeah, I love camo. I love camo and leopard. Yeah. And then sometimes flowers, but like with a dark background. But leopard to me, and polka dots. No.
I love the creative mind.
Yeah.
The fashion mind. It's like, and
maybe that,
next season, yes.
Yep. Are there certain fashion styles that you like to lean on for certain moments? Like if you have a meeting or, and it could be dressy or casual. Like, is there something that you're like, oh, I'm going to this event or this meeting and this is what I'm going to wear?
I have really been noticing lately how years of retail therapy has warranted like a certain kind of closet that I have in my own apartment. And I've been doing a lot of shopping in my closet, revisiting
That's great.
things that I have found over the years that maybe I got tired of but didn't manage to sell or get rid of. And I'm like, oh, isn't this nice?
Yeah.
And so I've been doing some stuff like that.
Love
but in
that.
terms of a style, I try to stay kind of, if it's not comfortable, I can't wear it. It's just, I get too distracted by that. And then just something that doesn't feel like too much fabric and something that feels good, elegant enough with maybe a little bit of an edge and
Well, you're not the first person to actually tell me that.
Oh, really?
That if it's not comfortable, they will not wear it. And it was actually a lawyer when we did an Empower Hour, and that was actually one of her feedbacks, which was interesting. And for us, like as a brand also and as a customer, like we want to make sure everything we make is comfortable. So it's like comfortable and chic and easy to wear, because for me, I want our clients to feel like instantaneously confident and pretty. And so that also means feeling comfortable with what you're wearing, and it's like not fussy. So like you put it on, you feel great and go. So I'm always, making sure the fabrics are feeling, soft and that the armhole's not too high, then you don't feel rigid. So it's funny that you say that, because for me, even though it's not necessarily, maybe I'm not wearing a sweatpant, but I do most of the time. Everyone can attest to that. I am wearing it's crystallized sweatsuit pretty much every day. But I'm like, it has to be comfortable for sure.
Well, I can attest to that, because I've tried on many of your jackets at this point,
yes.
and they all, no matter how they were just like very comfortable, and they look good, which is also important.
Yeah, well, we try.
I mean,
list 3 words that describe your fashion style.
3 words that describe my fashion style. I really feel like I should ask one of my kids. My favorite story actually was when the girls were little. I will answer your question. When the girls were little, I remember trying to get them dressed in the morning, and it was just so hard for them. These little people, just a little struggling getting dressed in the morning. And finally, one of them looked at me, and she was very upset, and she was like, "It is very, very, very easy for you, because you only ever wear black."
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Which I am not wearing right now, but it is really funny. I would say,
she was
like,
overwhelmed by all the choices.
Yeah, she was.
I still get overwhelmed by all
I
the
know,
choices.
you have to. I can try on half my closet before
it makes me overwhelmed sometimes when I don't like. And we have a lot of clothes, obviously. We have a lot of options, and that actually makes me even more overwhelmed. So that's how you end up wearing the same thing over and over again, I feel, because it's like I can't think. I'm just like, go with my go-to.
Exactly, and I think that's so. I would say the 3 words. I like a capsule.
Ooh.
I kind of
like something
like
special.
to go back to the same things. Yeah, I like something special, and then I like something comfortable, like a jean or an easy shoe.
Love. And then do you have a favorite Generation Love piece, or is there something that you're eyeing?
Oh my gosh, well, I love this.
Brand new for fall.
So
I
good.
love it.
And I'm also eyeing your cardigans.
Yes.
Because I like it when a cardigan has a pocket.
Yeah.
And so I would like
a lot
to say
of our
thank
cardigans
you for that.
have pockets. Yes.
And then there was a great wrap coat that I really,
That's my
beautiful
favorite jacket.
which by the way looks good on everyone.
It does.
Not that I am.
No, it's a good color.
Yeah.
Because it does look good on everyone, I think.
And see, I think that's very thoughtful. That's a public service.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Try. Well, amazing.
We try.
We try. Well, this was so amazing. I can keep talking and talking. So thank you so much. And let's do like a little less cheers.
Yay, cheers.
So let's cheers to peoplehood, Generation Love, women empowerment, and just having great conversations.
Yeah. New friends.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yay. Generation Love.
Yay.
And peoplehood.
Peoplehood.